And welcome to National Discourse. It's a beautiful day and us for Nigerians. And I know we are seated and getting glued to our TV stations to listen to what we had today. Now, since 2015, after the elections, this is exactly 3 years. In fact, 29th of May will make it exactly 3 years this government came into power. Now, we are looking at the overview of what this government have achieved. Overview of this administration, looking at all the controversies that was characterized them coming in, and then the past administration, and of course the strongest opposition party we have now, PDP. Now we are going to look at what they have done. Have they been able to keep to their campaign promises? Is there anything lacking? You can call us on our social media handles, and of course with our phone lines, I'll be hitting the screen immediately, and give us your contributions and your questions. We have a guest with us, but we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll introduce our guest who is standing by to deal with this topic. I still remain your host, Uche Uduma. Let's go there. Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
The administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa Nakama. They are like Agberu in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political. Dated way back. If you follow history,
it's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCTV.
So I don't know if I got that name correctly, sir.
It's good.
Yes,
Correct.
he was here with us yesterday, and then today he's here. We have a link up to what we talked about yesterday. Yesterday we looked at the APC Congress, or congresses across Nigeria, how successful were they, and all the controversies around there. Now today we are looking at the overview of the APC-led government, which he has so much to tell us that this government has done. Now your contribution will be needed, or your questions will be needed too. Let us look at what this administration have been able to offer Nigerians for roughly 3 years now. And of course, looking at next year, that is an electionary year. Let us know where we are, and if the chances or the possibility of them being elected again next year. Sir, over to you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, yesterday we started on a very good note, and we couldn't finish. All right. Now today, because you have, you seem to have a lot to tell us that this administration have done. So I want us to take it like segment after segment, so that our viewers can follow up and of course digest what we are talking about. Now, you made a comment yesterday. You said the administration have done fairly well.
No, has done well.
Have done well.
Yes, I actually scored them 51%.
51%. That's a C. According to WAEC standard.
Yes, but not an excellent result.
Okay.
Though it's a pass mark.
Now let us start with while this government was trying to come into power.
Yes.
Let's start with the issue of security.
Yes.
All right. Now this government told us that in 3 months they were going to surmount Boko Haram, because that was the highest security threat we had in Nigeria then. That the past administration, or PDP, as the ruling party then, was trying very difficult to handle. At the point that we heard that in 3 months, just vote us in, this will be a story of the past. How far have we gone, in it, and how is the market?
Security-wise, we are still struggling. The government is still struggling. But I know they have achieved success, relatively at least, in the area of fight against insurgency, as it relates to Boko Haram. Because as I time this government came into power, Boko Haram was in control of about 33 or 34 local governments. They they had their own territory with their flags flying. They had a government running inside Nigeria. But with the coming of this government, Boko Haram was decimated. The territories they had under their control taken back. But what we are now having is pockets of attack, particularly using the suicide tactics. Fighting insurgency who operates in that manner it's difficult because they don't wear uniform. You don't know them.
Did this administration consider all this point that it was pretty difficult for PDP to have fought Boko Haram?
Yes.
Before coming up to say that they have not done anything.
Good.
Just give me 3 months.
Good. PDP was not even making an attempt. First and foremost, they didn't even see it as a problem.
At what point did Boko Haram, the Boko Haram insurgency, at what point did it break out during PDP's administration?
Around 2011.
Okay.
Yes, around 2011. About that time. So the problem first started. It became what the government could not handle at that time. And what particularly made it difficult for the previous government to be able to face Boko Haram was because of the misappropriation of monies meant for the fight of the insurgency. As good example of that is the Dasuki Gate.
How far have that case gone?
It's still on. Dasuki is a custody.
Okay.
And recently, some days ago, he was in court. Some new charges were brought against him. The case is on, yes.
Now, you are a senior lawyer.
Yes.
I want to deviate a little bit.
Yes.
Now, that case have lingered from, this is roughly 2 years now, 3 years now. That case has been on. Now, in what light does it put the Nigerian judicial system? Because most times, like what happened during the APC Congress or Ekiti gubernatorial primaries, we saw people disrupting the electoral process. And then on inquiry, these people are like, if you are aggrieved, normally you're supposed to go to the court. That should be the hope of, the last hope of the common man. Now, people are afraid of going to the court because of the lengthy time our judicial system have taken to always finalize issues.
Yes.
Good. Now, that case, Dasuki Gates case, has been on. Until now, we don't have any judgment. We are not even close to having a judgment. Where does it put the judicial system?
The judicial system, you can't blame the judicial system for it. You can't blame the judiciary. One, I'm aware there are series of court orders that the courts have issued over time. Different courts, up to ECOWAS Community Court, but that the federal government has refused to obey.
The federal government have refused to obey?
Yes.
Okay.
Particularly with regard to granting Dasuki bail.
Okay.
They have refused. But again...
Now, sorry.
Yes.
The federal government have refused to obey court orders?
Yes. That has nothing to do with the judiciary. They have done their part.
Good. Now, who regulates? I know we have the 3 tiers of government, have the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. Now, when the executive fails to comply to the tenets of the law, whose responsibility is it to make sure that they fall into place?
The executive arm of the government, when they fail to obey a court order,
yes,
it only goes to affect their credibility. They are discredited.
Are you saying the judicial
no,
arm doesn't
the executive,
have
the executive. The judiciary has nothing to do with it.
Fine. Now, when the judiciary issues orders,
yes,
remember these 3 arms are supposed to act, are supposed to work hand in hand.
Yes.
And of course, there are still checks and balances.
Yes.
Now, in light of checks and balances being there,
yes,
when the executive, flaunts the orders of the court,
yes,
whose responsibility is it to make sure that they fall into place? That's my question.
I think the executive arm of government is supposed to execute court orders.
Okay.
Because first they control the police.
Now, failure to do that, what happens to them?
Is they are putting their credibility on the line.
Now, peradventure they decide to put their credibility on the line.
Yes.
Doesn't mean nobody, the judiciary cannot, mandate them to do the proper thing.
The judiciary can only give its judgment and give its orders.
Implementation of those orders, nobody follows it up.
There's nothing you can do about
Where
that.
does
As far as the judiciary is concerned.
Where does the legislative arm come in here?
The legislative arm.
Yes.
They make the law that the court will interpret.
Good.
So the executive will execute the law.
Good. Now, when the people responsible for executing this law does not do it, what happens?
Yes.
Are they above the law?
Yes. When we say the executive, right now, let's take it this way: the government, the party in power now is APC.
Good.
Right now, they form the executive.
Good.
These are some of the things that the electorate are supposed to be looking into, or they should see, and to consider their position when it comes to 2019 or any time to
my point
any
exactly
electionary
is,
activity.
My point exactly is, if the government in power decide to disobey all court rules,
yes,
regardless whether you want to vote them in or not, putting their popularity in question, you're in line. If they decide to do that, and not obeying court orders is harmful to democracy, are you saying nobody wakes up to check them or to make sure that they comply to these tenets?
That is why we have our elections every 4 years, because these are some of the things the oppositions are supposed to align.
So if someone decides to do that from the beginning of his tenure, to disregard court rules,
like what is happening now in terms of Azazaki and Dasuke.
Good. Yes. That is exactly the question I'm asking.
Yes.
And of course, the right person that would answer that question because he's a senior lawyer.
Yes.
Now I'm saying, if a certain person comes into power, and from the time he comes into power, he decides not to obey court rules, or obey court orders, are you saying everybody should just fold their arms and watch him do that because his popularity is in question, and he does that till 4 years?
What people do is to mount pressure on them, like these NGOs, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations. They organize protests to mount pressure on them, to expose them. You understand? So
what is the weight of such actions? Because
very weighty. If
checks and balances as a principle of government
is broken,
because the judiciary and the legislature cannot check the executive, what effect does the protest that comes from the common man, what effect does it have on the government?
Such protests are very powerful because the international communities will be looking at them.
Now, let us go back to El Zazaki's case.
Yes.
Now, there have been series of protests. In fact, the last one that happened, there was this altercation between the Shiites people and the police. Now, if such happens during protest, and of course that is actually outline of our constitution, of course we have the right for protest, but it has to be peaceful. Now, if people are stopped from carrying out their civil right, going on the street to protest, what exactly is the next option to correcting or making sure that the executive carry out court orders?
They should continue to protest.
Is that the last option we have?
Peacefully. They should continue to protest peacefully. They should continue to protest peacefully.
Now, are we not making the executive very powerful? Like, I don't know what, because for what is going on here, checks and balances is out of it. And it's a principle of government or governance or democracy that ought to be followed to the letter. Are we saying that we are not practicing democracy, or it is this is not military rule anyways?
Of course.
So if the executive decides to do what they want to do, regardless the court orders or what is coming up from the judicial angle, nobody does anything. It's only protest that we are going to put ourselves down to.
Look, Uche, let me tell you something. Independence of the judiciary, the legislative arms of the government is only relative, because these arms of government, they don't control their finances. They don't have fiscal independence. It is still the executive that controls them.
So you are saying the independence is just on paper?
It's relative.
Okay.
It's relative. It's not total. When I say you are independent of me, and I control how much should come to you or how it should come to you, what can you do?
Okay, now
you'll still be tied to me.
Good. Now, going to El Zazaki's case and Dasuki Gay's case, are your thoughts on those cases that have lingered for a long time?
The Zazaki case, bad that the government is not obeying the court rulings, orders, and judgments. But we have to be very careful. What we are looking at in Zazaki's case is more of religion. You understand me? Religion is a very, very, very dangerous factor. So that is why me as a person, I don't discuss religion with people. Whatever you choose to believe, go ahead, believe it. I don't try to win you to my side. You understand? Because it's a very, very dangerous thing. So that case of Zazaki, we have to be very, very, very careful. Because it may be in our interest to keep one person in protective custody than to put the whole country in danger.
Okay.
His case is not a political one. It's not a political case.
Okay. Now, what of Dasuki's case?
Dasuki is being held for corruption, misappropriation of for money made for the purchase of equipment to fight insurgency. That's number one. Again, arms were discovered in his house, and he could not give legitimate explanation why those arms should be in his house.
Okay.
The amount of arms that they found in Dasuki's house would be enough to sack some governments in Africa. So why we shouldn't be sentimental about it. I'm a lawyer. I'm out to protect people's rights. But when the security of the country is involved, I beg you, so I will allow the security of the country, national security, to come first.
So are you saying that the court order that the judiciary have given to grant him bail is not in order?
See, judiciary will give his order or judgment based on the evidence before it.
That is exactly what we're saying. Now, you said arms were recovered from his premises.
Yes.
And these are evidence before the court.
Yes.
And I'm sure the court, went through this and looked at it very well before ordering him to be granted bail.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, keeping sentiment aside,
yes,
you are still coming back to why the executive cannot carry out the orders of the judiciary. Now, this puts Nigeria in a very bad light.
Yes.
Now, I want to bring the issue of the IG that have blatantly refused to, appear at the Senate. This is the third time he's doing that.
In 2 weeks.
Good. Now, why we do this is because of precedent. You don't go about setting bad precedents, and the IG have refused for the third time to appear. Where does that put us in?
Okay, fine. The government, I believe the government, to a very large extent, when you are taking people to court like Dasuki, Zazaki, prepare your case very well. Do your investigations very well. You understand?
Are you alleging that those things are not properly done?
Most times, do your investigation very well. You understand? Okay, fine. They have gotten orders from against you in the court. They have gotten judgment. Appeal them. But if you have not done your homework very well, investigation very well, you have refused to appeal those court orders and judgments, release them. Release them. Blame yourself.
Okay. Now, as part of what this government have done,
yes,
we are still looking at the overview of this government from the part of respecting the rule of law, which is the primary thing we are all existing for in Nigeria.
Yes.
Will you now say they have done well or they have not done well as regards respecting the Constitution, which is the utmost book that holds us together as a nation?
I will answer you straight away. I will tell you they have not done well. 1.
Can you give me your score like 0 to 100%?
Excuse me, please. Say 1. I need justice to one person. It's injustice to everybody. If injustice is perpetrated against Dasuki or against Zazaki, that injustice is against all of us, the almost 200 million people in Nigeria.
Okay.
On that basis, I won't call them anything at all.
Okay.
Because if you refuse to do your homework very well, from what I know, because I've been following up the cases very well, from what I know, what I have read, what I have investigated or researched, Dasuki should not be walking on the street of Nigeria. But be that as it may, you can't just carry him and put him there without following the due process. If they had done the investigation very well, if they have done what they are supposed to do very well, if they have followed up the court cases very well, where orders are made against you, you appeal you appeal those orders or those judgments, Dasuki will still be there legally. But that you refuse to appeal, you refuse to do what you're supposed to do, orders are coming out against you, you just use your might to say, I'm not releasing him. That would be wrong.
All right, that's very fair from your own part. Now, let's look at, before this government came in, we are still looking at the security, which will soon round off from security now.
Yes.
We had just Boko Haram as one of the ardent insurgents group
Yes.
that we have in Nigeria. And now, in a bid for this government to curb it in 3 months, we saw another group resurfacing, which they have become more deadly
Yes.
than Boko Haram.
Boko Haram.
We're talking about the Fulani herdsmen,
Yes.
allegedly perpetrating crimes all over, and the federal government, because many people have come up to say, can you prescribe these people as, what do they call it? Terrorist organization, and that this government have refused to do that. What do you say about that?
In terms of Boko Haram, or reducing the activities of Boko Haram, they have done relatively well.
Good.
But the new one we are facing now, the herdsmen in code, because I have never believed that it is actually the herdsmen that I grew up to know, to know that are perpetrating this thing. Because even where in the southern part of the country where I'm from, we used to see them when we were growing up those days. You see them with chicks.
With your water
Yes,
patrols.
exactly. That is the Fulani herdsmen that I knew of now. But these ones, they are Boko Haram in another form.
Okay.
You understand?
So
But government has not been able to deal with them. And I'm surprised. And I'm not happy. Why? They can do it. They can do it if they choose to do it. If they want to do it.
And the ugly truth is people are still dying.
The first thing is to declare them terrorists. Declare them terrorists. When you declare them terrorists, you release the full might of the government on them. You understand? But, and again, our security agencies, they are not proactive. They are not proactive. They hear that they have attacked people here, they will send 200 policemen to that place.
Yeah, and then other areas becomes volatile.
Exactly. Tomorrow you hear they have attacked this place, you move these people again, you take them to that place. That's too poor.
Okay.
It's too bad.
So is this happening because of incompetency on the part of the security operatives, or because lack of adequate personnel?
We have people. We have personnel.
Okay.
The military personnel of Israel is not up to that of one country in Middle East. But all the countries in Middle East put together cannot face Israel militarily.
So are you saying we really don't need more
It's
people?
attitude, sentiment.
Okay.
Sentiment, attitude, religious sentiment, ethnic sentiment.
Characterized by this government?
As this government.
Good. All right. Let's move over to the economy. Because security first, because we're talking about protection of people's lives and properties. And from your own end, can you score the government on security levels? Put everything together? Herdsmen, Boko Haram.
I will score them pass.
You
I
will
will not score them pass.
You will not score them
but
pass.
before the emergence of the herdsmen, I would have scored them well because they've been able to get back our territory, to reduce the activities of Boko Haram, because the suicide bombing they are doing now, not even America can stop it. They can't stop it.
Okay.
You understand? The only way you can stop it is the people among whom they live to give information. But on religious sentiment, ethnic sentiment, they don't support the authority in that regard. That is why we are still getting pockets of suicide bombers. But in terms of they occupying territory, they have done well in that area. But the killing, I don't want to call them herdsmen. These gunmen attacking people, particularly in the Middle East. You understand? If the government really is sincere in tackling them, they'll be able to tackle them.
All right. Let's move over to another very obvious promise that this government gave before they came in. Unemployment in Nigeria is not a new thing. It's something that even a little baby sings. You understand? And then this government promised again, the way they promised about security, Boko Haram, particularly, promised again to deal with these menace. Now, how far with that?
Unemployment.
Yes.
You see, someone said to be able to to face the future, you have to shake the present. You understand? To be able to face the future, you have to shake the present. When we say unemployment, this government came into power with so many new policies. Those new policies, businesses will react to them. When they react to it, sometimes it gets to them negatively. What they are doing is to reorganize, restructure, and reposition themselves. In the course of doing that, it will lead to the bitter decision to lay some people off.
Okay.
You understand? But let me tell you, the problem we are having, even when Buhari, this government fails to come back in 2019, we bring in another government. That other government will still fail. Even though right now I don't know which government it might be, it will still fail. You know why? Nigeria itself is structured to fail.
I beg your pardon?
Nigeria is structured to fail, no matter who governs this country.
Are you saying with...
If you say Buhari government is not doing well, Buhari is not happy. Buhari himself is surprised that his government is not doing well.
It is the same thing.
Nigeria is structured to fail, no matter who comes in.
I really want to bring this to you because
yes.
I can actually flash back and see all the dramas that went through.
Yes.
The little transition between PDP and APC. Now, if this government knew that Nigeria is a difficult place to govern, all the things that are allegations and all that I gave the PDP, would their stance still remain the same now?
If they want to be sincere with themselves, their stance is not supposed to remain the same.
Okay.
But politics will not let them admit that.
Okay.
You know why? See, we build things in Nigeria around individuals. We don't build institutions. That's why I said Nigeria is structured to fail. Before now, directors and heads of parastatals, government parastatals, they manage government money in their personal accounts, which is not supposed to be. A lot of loopholes. First, to fix things in Nigeria, to fix power, to fix security, to fix unemployment, to fix economy, you first of all need to fix this country. That's why I said Nigeria is structured to fail. No matter who will come, forget politics, Nigeria is structured to fail. First and foremost, we need to restructure Nigeria.
Okay, so now the government's inability to put up to their campaign promise
yes.
of providing employment to the youth
yes.
is because Nigeria is structured to fail.
They know that they are not making effort to providing job for Nigerians.
Now, when you go into parastatals and ministries,
yes,
you discover that people are being employed on daily basis.
Yes.
And the word is replacement. All right?
Yes.
And by the time you go in there and you ask questions, they are from a particular sect of people. Would you say that is nepotism, going on around this government?
I will not agree with you. Every Nigerian man has the potential to be dubious. Whenever they are
nepotic?
Exactly. Whenever they are given the opportunity, they exhibit it. There is when somebody from a particular section of the country was the SGF of this country. You understand? People, I can count a lot of people from that side of the country that they were just giving letters to go to ministries of their choice to get job.
So you're saying
now that man is not there.
You're saying nepotism is normal in Nigeria?
You say what?
Are you saying nepotism is normal?
No, it's not normal, but it's widely practiced.
And
in Nigeria,
this
yes.
administration as pure as they promised to be and transparent, they are still found doing this. Are you blame politics on it?
Yes, of course. See, go to any ministry in Nigeria, see the minister, see where he's from. When you take a minister, go to his ministry. From the entrance, see the language they speak.
Good. Now, what difference has this administration been able to make between PDP and...
They have not been able to make any difference in this regard. Why? they can't make any difference.
So why
because
policy?
of this, because of the way this country is structured, they can't.
Okay, so whose duty is it to restructure Nigeria as a nation?
All of us. It's not the president.
Okay, and it's not
Because
the party.
The party.
It's not president.
The party
it's not
itself
party.
is handicapped to restructure this country. It is not what one person will just get up and say, I'm the president, let me restructure. No, it's not possible. It is for all of us to say, yes, thus far, no more. Let us sit down. Let's be frank with ourselves. Let's correct these things. But it will not work because there are some people or even sections of this country that are benefiting from the way it is. They are benefiting from the way it is. But again, they are losing out because they are only afraid of the unknown, thinking that when we restructure, they will miss, they will not be able to control this, not be able to control this. But the truth of the matter is this: when you restructure, even there is no part of this country that does not have something to offer. It will make you look inward and bring out the best in you, and the other sections will respect you for it.
All right, we'll be going for a short break now, but before we come back, you can check our number that is really on the screen now to make your contributions or your question. But before we go for that break, I want us to ponder on this, and you too, Barrister Douglas, how the difference between the state of the economy during PDP's administration and what we are seeing right now. Is there any clear difference? Are there things that have been added? Are campaign promises being able to be kept or to by this administration? But we'll go for the short break, and when we come back, we will consider that. Stay with us.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa yang nakama. They are like agberu in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCTV.
We welcome back from that short break. Now, while some people are coming up to say, before this administration came into power, at least a bag of rice was 8,000 naira. 7,000, 8,000, at most you buy it is 10,000 naira. Now, let us use the analysis of a common person. Now, we are not alleging that anybody is common, but we are trying to use a word that we can all relate with. The analysis of a common person, the common man in Nigeria. We're not talking about the high and the mighty. We're talking about the normal people. That a bag of rice was 8,000. Now is hitting 20,000, 20-something thousand. It has even come down. Because when this administration came into power, if I can remember very well, because I'm a woman, we bought a bag of rice above 20,000 naira. Noodles of Gary has gone up, and then so many other things, commodities in the market have sprung up. What are the things of that?
Before this government came in,
Sorry, we have this call. Can we pick? Hello?
Hello.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you tune down the volume of your TV set? Hello. Okay. Yeah, your name and where you're calling from, please. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
My name is Sheba.
Your name is what? Reverend Anyanwu, okay. From where?
From Abia State and Initial Langwa.
Okay, from Abia State, Isia Langwa. All right. Your contribution, sir.
What the barrister is telling is the truth. And the only thing that can save this nation is the restructuring. Because people that are doing these things, they will never go out because they hate things from there. And what Nigeria needs is what happened in Ghana. So that Nigeria will be better. When another government comes in, the thing that happens will continue happening. But I pray that God will save this nation. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Zed, for your contribution. This is exactly what you said.
Yes.
He's just trying to reiterate the fact. Now, moving on to the question. We are looking at the economy. Let's do a comparison.
Okay, so let me tell you something.
Okay, I'm listening.
Before, when Obasanjo was leaving power in 2007, our external reserve was 67 or 69 billion dollars. When the government, the immediate past government, was in power, oil sold between $120 and $144 per barrel. Immediately this government came into power, oil sold for $25. Over 600% reduction in terms of price of oil. As at the time this government was leaving, the previous government was leaving, all that we had in our external reserve was less than $20 billion. Let's be frank here. I'm not a fan of Buhari. I'm not a member of APC, but let's call this paid is paid.
Fine. Let's go back to the economy we are looking
at. So, but this government, and again, the only thing that, where this government got it wrong, and I will tell you, when Buhari came into power, May 29, 2015, it took him almost 7 months to constitute his cabinet.
I was actually driving to that point.
He got it wrong. In some other climes, while they are campaigning to become the president of a country, they already had their shadow cabinet. People already know who will be their education minister, their finance minister, their defense minister. The day it is announced, they already started holding meetings and trying to shaping out policies and directions where the country will head under their government. When they are sworn in, so within 48 hours, the cabinet is formed. It took him 7 whole months to constitute his own cabinet. Then he got it wrong. Because the essence is this: you sit down with your cabinet members and say, look, we are now in charge. How do we go? You formulate your policies, your directions, how the country will go. But as at the time he constituted his cabinet, he himself already already made up his mind how the government will go. So the ministers, without their contribution, were only just there to let us go follow him as he has planned it. Very wrong. He got it wrong there. Then that particular factor with some other factors now compounded the economic situation that the previous government already put on the ground for us. And what the government was doing then was to throw money around. The previous, I'm sorry to tell you, but it is the truth at least from our perspective. Jonathan was not a deep thinker. His whole belief was to throw money at issues, throw money at problems. Everywhere was at watch with money. Corruption was festering. It was celebrated. Everywhere was at watch with money. It was during Jonathan's time. You tell somebody this thing that is maybe worth 10,000 naira. You tell them it's 50,000 naira. They will tell you, how am I going to pay? You want cash in dollars or in naira, or you want me to do transfer? They didn't even care to know whether what they were buying was actually worth the amount they were paying for it, because everywhere was money. When this government came, he said, no, it can't work. TSA was introduced by the previous government, was implemented. A lot of other things. The border was blocked. Illegal importation seized.
Please,
it was only natural.
Can you pause it there?
Yes.
You said our borders were blocked. Good. Now, when we keep having illegal goods being smuggled into the country, will you say our borders have been blocked successfully?
you cannot successfully block your border. You can only reduce it.
I just wanted you to retrace that
Yes,
fact because
that's
you said our
yes.
borders
No,
are
no, no,
blocked.
no. When I say blocked, it's not possible to block all the borders.
Okay, now, when
not even
when
US.
our president,
Yes.
while in US tour, said that the herdsmen
Yes.
that they coming from these are neighboring countries.
Dissidents from Libya.
Good. Whose responsibility is it to secure our borders?
Of course, government.
Good. So, in that light, how our borders? I stopped because he said our borders have been blocked.
Yes.
That's why I stopped to just give you at least 2 indices to prove the fact that our borders are still open.
Yes.
And what is this government doing about these borders?
When I said our borders were blocked, I'm looking at where they import, particularly this Benin Republic axis, where they used to import rice, frozen poultry products, imported produce.
Okay, I'm saying those products they don't come in again.
They were checked. Not that you can't block your country like I'm saying.
Okay.
But they've been drastically. That's what, first and foremost, what drove the price of rice to move from 8,000 to almost 30,000 naira then.
Okay. Now, before you make such decisions, because you're ruling a country,
yes,
you're not ruling yourself.
Yes.
Now, before you make such decisions, like what I'm saying, did we put any palliative measures? I'm still talking about our farm produce. When you ban importation of certain things coming in, what palliative measures did this government put in place to ensure that we will not have that kind of overheat of offshoots of the economy the way we did?
Nigeria is a special country. Nigeria is not a place where you will say, okay, fine, let us allow them to be bringing in things. We'll use the, let's say for the next 3-4 years, so I will use the opportunity to develop ours. We won't develop it.
Now, for 3 years now, what has
Yes.
this government done in agricultural sector? Because we keep preaching diversification of the economy
Yes.
to agricultural sector. What have this government achieved with that?
If I will answer it by doing, the easy way out. Let's compare agricultural sector, compare what we have now with what the previous government had.
Okay.
I will give it to the previous government. Our agricultural minister then, that is now the head of Africa Development Bank, knew what he was doing.
Okay.
He knew what he was doing. He was good. And we felt the effect. The effects were positive. But right now, what we have now is nothing compared to what we had before.
That brings me to appointment.
Agriculture is not doing well right now.
All right, good. Thank you for being that sincere. Now,
Yes.
that brings me to the appointments that this government have. But before then, let's pick this call and hear what this caller has to say. Good morning to you.
Good morning, my name is Alex from Benue State.
Your name is what, Alex?
Yes,
From Benue State. Okay, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. I like your program. God bless you and God give you more.
Okay.
The people of agriculture, they diversification of agriculture. They have not produced anything. They are before blocking the border. There should be something on the ground. There's nothing on the ground, and they block the border, and the hunger started. And the president said we should go to farm, and when we go to farm, planning come and destroy. There are we. Now the president, the IT and the president, they are working hand in hand. How many times they have given the IT court order to open the physical office in Abuja? They are giving order to go to negotiate. They are giving order to go to Benue. They are giving him Senate invite him to explain about the cleaning of the country. Most of them are not people of the country. If you cannot respect the president, if you cannot respect the senator, then who is going to respect? Buhari is just using him. And that is why Buhari takes all the head of service as a planning man. All the poor people. They are not taking one from him. They are not taking one from him. They are not taking one. When the country is under a cage, Buhari doesn't listen to advice. What's in his mind? Okay, now, I'm a planning man. And my people are killing people. What am I going to say? I cannot allow other people to see my people are always and stay quiet. But my people are working. That's what Buhari is doing. How many planning men they have arrested? Buhari went to London and going to say that planning man doesn't carry gun. They have arrested so many planning men. It's taking 47, the highest gone so far now. What arrest is done? Nothing. You get the arrest and that's all.
Thank you very much.
If you take everything in one side, and if you go to one side, you should take for the north, for the east, for the south. He's not making full of us. And why is he not signing the big copy? Because you know that after signing the big copy, the plan is because there is 4 each in the local government and each in the world. Anything that is going to happen, they will keep alert and they will go and then catch them. That is why it's not signing the big copy. Why we know when things that happen and all the stuff that is there. If you remember, there was a prophecy on the situation that while the other party is coming, a party will get together and bring down the seat for the ruling party, but they will not him. That is the blood change now.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Because when someone has a power bank, you say, how many minutes is here? How many minutes is it going to do? It's not going to be not for God from one to another. Because it's not happening. They don't have that for weak women or we have started to concentrate for them. But God is watching. So many days for the kids, 1 day for the owner. God is watching and our people will come.
And God will keep helping you and many Nigerians that are under the siege. Thank you very much for calling, Alex. And we hope you stay cool in Benue State. Sir, the points that he raised, they're not far from the points I earlier raised. Talking about the IG, bluntly refuting orders of the Senate. He has refused to abide by the president's instruction and now the Senate. And it still goes back to the question I was asking. Where lies our fate? Okay, now from the constitutional angle, let's look at this IG. From the constitutional angle, when the IG refuses to abide by such laws, let's talk about the Senate now. Is there any constitutional provision as a lawyer that should get him bound?
The IG should not do another 24 hours in a normal society in that office.
So
it's not supposed to do another 24 hours in that office.
Good. Now the Senate have declared him unfit.
Yes.
In a democratic dispensation in Nigeria and abroad. What is the effect of that on him?
It's a very strong one.
Okay.
He might not know now. Soon, now or later, he will leave that office.
Good. Now, what do you think is the reason why the president have refused to remove the IG?
Who has the president ever removed?
He has removed some people.
Look at how long it took him to remove Babashir. As clear as the evidence. How long? Well over a year. Or about a year. To remove Babashir. In spite of all the pressure. Who else? Who has the president ever removed? This is the only president, at least in my grown-up days, that has not reshuffled cabinet in 3 years. Not even to drop, just reshuffle them.
Does that put him in a good light?
Of course, no.
Good. Now, for the next election that is coming, how will this put together make his government unpopular?
It depends on what the oppositions are able to do. See, let me tell you. I'll be telling people. It is not enough to say, look, 2019, we're going to vote you out, vote you out. When you vote them out, who are you going to vote in? It depends on how the opposition parties are able to put themselves together and put their houses in order. If, for example, like PDP, there are some individuals that will come up in this Nigeria, people will kneel down and beg Buhari to continue. So if at the end of the day, they put their wrong foot forward and they get it wrong, APC will still win. So it's not a matter of how is it going to affect them. Everything that this government is doing, it depends on how the oppositions are able to put their houses in order.
Okay, now shortly before we round up, because we're trying to round up now, talking about the ministerial positions and of course some sensitive positions. We are trying to compare the agricultural sector then and now, and you clearly said that then was better. Because the Minister of Agriculture knew what he was doing. Now, coming back to the appointments that the president have made, coming back to a point that the president have made, are you saying that there is a misplaced priority somewhere? Looking at the Minister of Power, he's a lawyer. You're a lawyer, sir.
Yes.
What are the knowledge you have about the power sector? Is it sufficient enough to drive the sectors?
The AG room of every ministry are the core civil servants, the PAMSEC, the directors, down the line. Ministers are mere political heads to head the ministries, to help the president formulate policies. That is why I am still quarreling with the president for not constituting his cabinet early enough. His government already taken shape, wrongly or rightly, before he brought in this minister.
Okay, now my question rightly now is, looking at the professions of the people that he puts in position at offices that not suit their profession, are you saying it's not a misplaced priority?
At all.
It's a misplaced priority, but it does not affect the economy?
No, it's not a misplaced priority, because as I am now, I can head Ministry of Health as a lawyer. I can head Ministry of Health as a minister.
The question is now,
it is only for me to work well, you understand, and harmonize my position with those of the PAMSEC and the directors.
Okay.
I'm a political head of that ministry. I'm not to do the professional work of those ministries.
Okay.
I'm the political head to formulate policies based on the reports that the PAMSEC will pass to me.
Okay.
So having a lawyer to head Ministry of Works, or having an engineer to head Ministry of Agriculture, to me it has little or no effect on their performance. Yes, because they are political heads.
Okay. Now, before we round off, we have looked at security. Yesterday we looked at corruption.
Yes.
And we've tried looking at the economy, which you clearly said is on restructuring. And we tried looking at, of course, we are talking about security, still talking about the borders, which we all know that it cannot be blocked. Totally.
100%.
Good. But we expect some maximum level of security around our borders.
Very well.
Good. Now, having looked at all this holistically, and my question to you is, in all of this, like you said, it's not enough to shout, we're going to vote someone out, or we're going to vote someone in.
Yes, who are you voting to replace the person?
Good. Now, in all of this, can you rate this government so far? This is 3 years.
Rating the government, particularly as it is now, is not what you would do 1 over 100, 100 over 100. You can rate this government in relative terms.
And those are the terms we've tried to look at.
In relative terms.
We were able to look at.
In relative terms. And I will rate this government vis-a-vis the Nigerian system. Remember, I have hammered it. No government, mark my words, if Nigeria is not restructured, if not fully, at least to a reasonable level, no matter who becomes the president of this country, if you like, bring 12 good people jointly to become president of this country, they will fail, because the system will fail. That at the back of my mind, knowing what the government is fighting against, the factors militating against this government, I'll still rate this government that 51% I gave them yesterday.
That's a C, and that's over pass mark. All right, thank you very much. I think that's where we'll draw the curtain. Thank you for doing justice to this. And to Nigerians, you've heard Barrister Douglas, it's not enough for you to sit back and blame the government. Like we heard, the government alone, the government in power, the political party, is not sufficient enough to bring the desired change we need in Nigeria. So regardless the party who comes in 2019, regardless the party that have ruled and the one in power, the change begins with us. I still retract that maxim. All right, but the truth is, the restructuring is behold on all of us.
It's key.
It's key, and it's from individuals. Now, corruption goes down to the grassroots, and we know that the government is not in the grassroots. Now, as much as you know you can evaluate this government, as much as you know you can say they have done well, they have not done well, the next option you have is to pick up your what? Your PVC. Go get registered. It extends to December 2018. And of course, we're getting ready for next year's election. But before then, let us contribute our quota as a nation and as the citizens of Nigeria to ensure Nigeria is a peaceful place, because whatever thing that happens does not affect just the executive, but it goes down to affect the citizens. And on issue of security, our heartbeat goes to the people of Benue State, but then we have to be security conscious, report every activities that you suspect to the nearest police station, and we believe that God will help us save this country. Until tomorrow, meet again. From me is bye.